Why would you trust women when you know that when they're crying, they're lying?
Wow. You sound very misogynist.
What do you mean?
You sound like you really hate women.
Well, how is that?
Because you think women are crying, they're lying. But in the case of Sean Combs, I mean, there are allegations that there are videos, there are photos, and there are at least a couple dozen people already who have come forward making very serious accusations against him. It sounds like you're not in perfect peace right now. You sound very angry at women, and you sound very disparaging of women. Maybe you've had some bad experiences with women. Maybe some women have accused you, Jesse.
And so if that's the case with the women that are accusing the men, they have had bad experiences, so they just accuse the men?
No, there's very few men who talk the way you do.
Misogynists?
You're definitely a misogynist based on what you just said.
So are these women misogynists?
Sorry?
Are those women who are accusing men, are they misogynists?
That's not a word.
I just made it up.
Yes, guys, welcome to Cultural War. Here, Jesse is just a troll. He trolled this feminist. You know, she accused him of misogyny. They talked about the PDD issue. They talked about so many things, and this lady was triggered all through, guys. You need to watch this video for yourself. Enjoy it. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to get more videos like this. And also, please drop your reactions to the comment section. Your reactions, your comments, your perspective is also very important to me. All right, guys, let's dive in.
I have with me today Lisa Bloom. And Lisa is an author, attorney, and founder and owner of the Bloom firm. Lisa, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I absolutely appreciate it. And when you say you fight for civil rights for these people, what are civil rights?
Great question. Civil rights are, we all have certain rights. We have the right to equality, especially in employment, in housing, and public accommodations. We have the right to be treated as equals. We have the right to stand up against things like sexual harassment or race discrimination and not be retaliated against as a result. We also have Fourth Amendment rights not to be the victims of unreasonable searches and seizure by police or other government entities. So those are just a few examples.
Amazing. And do you fight for the rights for white people too? White people's civil rights?
On occasion, but primarily when we're doing a race discrimination case, we're talking about people of color who are victims, yeah.
And I noticed that in today's America, that so many white people are being discriminated against. Their rights are being taken away from them. And so if white people would come to you and say, hey, my rights are being taken because I'm white, you would take on that too? Well,
we look at every case individually because we only get paid if we win. We have to take cases that we really feel confident that we can win. So you're right. Everybody has the right to not be discriminated against on account of their race. And if that happened to somebody because they are white, we would look at it just like any other case. We would look at the facts and the evidence and the witnesses to see if they have a legitimate case.
Nice. I want to ask, I saw where you said Diddy, because you represented some woman that accused Diddy.
Yes, I do.
Right. What's her name?
Dawn Richard.
Yes, Dawn Richard. And you said that Diddy should go to prison for life or something like that?
I think what I said was, I think he is going to be in prison for life. He's currently in prison, and the criminal case against him, in my opinion, is quite strong.
Really? And I don't know anything about the case. I'm only going by the media, so I can't say who's right or who's wrong in it because I haven't spoken to Diddy yet, so I don't know, right? Or the accusers.
Fair enough.
Why do you think? Because we know that women lie about sex and they lie on men. Not that I don't know if these women are lying, but we know that because of the hatred that women have for men, they're jealous of men. It's so easy for women to falsely accuse men. They could get mad. They could be having sex with you and get up out of bed and get mad at you before they hit the floor, and they'll say you sexually harassed them or raped them and all kind of mess. Why would you trust women when you know that when they're crying, they're lying?
Wow. You sound very misogynist.
What do you mean?
You sound like you really hate women.
Well, how is that?
Because you think women are crying, they're lying. And
Have
all
you
this.
noticed that when
so
they're crying?
I would love to respond to what you said. So the FBI says that their false accusations of rape are about 2 or 3%, just as like for any other crime.
In college women lie on the guys.
Okay, and you know, rape is really an epidemic in this country. In the case of, for example, Jeffrey Epstein, he had hundreds and hundreds of accusers. You think he's innocent? You think these women are lying? You know, in some cases,
I don't know if they're lying or not, but I wouldn't just believe them knowing how easy it is for women to lie.
I'm not suggesting that you should just believe people who make an accusation. I'm an attorney. I have to prove my case in court.
Right.
Okay? So it's not like they just go out in the media and say something and they have to be believed. It's true that everybody deserves due process. But in the case of Sean Combs, I mean, there are allegations that there are videos, there are photos, and there are at least a couple dozen people already who have come forward making very serious accusations against him.
Right.
There's the criminal case, which the government would only bring if they think they can prove every element beyond a reasonable doubt.
Right.
So, but the last thing I want to say is that if you think it's easy for someone to come forward with an accusation against somebody like Sean Combs, you really haven't sat down and listened to accusers who talk about how painful and difficult it is, how they live with this for years, how they're terrified, how they're afraid of violence, how they think there have been acts of violence against other accusers. It's an extraordinarily difficult and brave thing for an accuser to come forward.
But that's why I say when they're crying, when they're, and I'm not talking about any particular case because I don't know, but when they're doing that, they're lying. Because what I noticed...
Why would you assume that? Why would you assume that someone's lying? Why not give her a fair hearing and also give him a fair hearing?
I wouldn't take either one of their sides, you know?
Okay, but you don't say he's lying. You're saying the women are lying. You've said that several times.
Because I know so many cases where women are lied on men, wives lie on husbands when they want to take the children away from the man.
Wow.
They just start crying, Judge, he touched the kids in the wrong way. Or he raped me. Or they just throw the lies out there and then they cry and I know they're lying. You agree with that at least?
It sounds like you're not in perfect peace right now. You sound very angry at women and you sound very disparaging of women. Maybe you've had some bad experiences with women. Maybe some women have accused you, Jesse.
And so if that's the case with the women that are accusing the men, they have had bad experiences or they just accused the men?
No, there's very few men who talk the way you do. You're definitely a misogynist based on what you just said.
So are these women misogynists?
Sorry?
Are those women who are accusing men, are they misogynists?
That's not a word.
I just made it up.
I think androgynous, I don't know, androgynous is different.
Right.
I don't know what the word is, but the way that you talk about women generally is very sexist and hateful. I have to tell you, to say that women are liars
you can't believe them.
As a group, yeah. So you sound like you've got some issues with women. It's probably why you're single.
So if women believe that men are lying, are they having issue with men?
I don't hear any women say all men are lying.
I didn't say all.
Well, you said women.
I said when
generally.
they are crying, they're lying.
And you also said women are liars.
No, not all.
I didn't say all.
But
it's on tape. That somebody can play it back.
One thing I know for sure.
You said what you said. Do you want to back off of it now and retract it?
One thing I know for sure, when they're crying, all women, when they're crying, they're lying.
So that sounds like you have so little compassion in your heart. If someone's crying, they're hurting.
They're lying.
Wow. So you really have no compassion for a woman who's hurting and weeping in her pain?
And what is compassion?
What is compassion?
Yeah.
Kindness in your heart towards someone else who's hurting? It doesn't sound like you have much of that, if any.
I don't understand that.
Clearly you don't. That's pretty sad. Are you a narcissist, Jesse?
What do you mean?
Do you know what a narcissist is?
So let me go back to something else. I noticed that whenever there's a situation between men and women, and these women say, oh, they raped me, or whatever, right?
Wow.
Like these parties with Jeffrey and now Diddy, and I'm sure it's going to happen to other men. Why don't they ever ask the woman, why did you go to that party? What were you looking for from Diddy? Why did you go to the party? Because I noticed when people go to these parties, yes, Diddy may or may not want sex from them, but they want something from Diddy, and that's why they go to the party. They party up, they have fun, they drink, they do their thing. Why
So no one should ever go to a party?
Why is it that it's never a question of why did you go to that party?
Also, what about the men who are accusing
What was
Diddy?
it that you wanted from Diddy? Why that's not?
I can answer
why
that.
That's not okay?
So first of all, I don't hear you criticizing the men who have made accusations against Diddy. Are
That's
they?
not answering the question.
Well, I know, but you on this real
I want to
anti-woman
know why
rant.
do these women go to these parties? What
I
is
can
it
answer that if you take a breath and let me
What is
answer.
it that they want from Diddy and people like that?
They want a break to get into the music industry.
Right.
And what's wrong with that?
And he wants sex, right?
In some cases, apparently that's what's accused.
And
yes.
and the women are willing to give up the
No,
sex
they're
to get
not.
what they
There's
want.
accusations that they were not willing, that they were drugged, that they were forced, that they were underage. So again, you have this slanted thing in your head that women all are evil and liars. But people have the right to go to a party and not be sexually assaulted.
Right now,
People have the right. I'm still talking. People have the right to go to a party and not be drugged against their will, not to be groped and grabbed. Do you have children?
Yes.
Do you have a daughter?
Yes, granddaughter.
Okay. If she goes to a party, is she asking to be raped? Is it her fault for going to a party?
If she goes there looking for something for the party owner.
What if somebody says, I can help you with your singing career, and she goes, okay, a lot of business is done at these kind of parties. Would she deserve to be raped?
Why was an underage person at a grown-up party?
Because they were invited and they were hoping to get into the music industry, or somebody
they
brought
wanted
them.
something, right?
Okay, so you're going to blame.
That's my case.
You do? You're going to blame a child for being sexually assaulted? Is that who you are?
What's a child?
An underage person?
What's an underage person that is a child?
Underage is a child, yes.
What's an underage child? I'm trying to understand the age range.
Oh, I don't know. Those are not my cases, but I know that they're alleged to have been underage.
I never hear, and I hear a lot of, nowadays in the media, a lot of men are being accused at these parties and things like that, but I never hear the women are questioned as, why were you at that party? What did you want from the party owner?
No, that's a typical question they do get asked.
And I don't hear that, though.
Okay, well, you're not going to these trials, so of course you don't hear it. How would you hear it if you're not following the case?
So they do ask that in the trial?
Yeah, that would be a normal question. Why did you go? What were you doing? What were you looking for? And usually they were looking to get a break in the industry.
So they wanted something.
Yeah, that's not a crime.
It's not a crime to want something, but you're not going to get, nothing is free, right? So these women have to know if they're going to go to somebody that's famous, especially in the entertainment world, and this person's famous, whether it's a male or a woman that's famous, and they want something, they're going to have to give up something.
Their bodies?
Uh-huh.
Is that what your granddaughter should do?
Nothing else to give.
What does your granddaughter like to do? Does she like to sing? Does she like to make art? Does she like to play the piano? Does she do anything like that?
No, she's married with children. She doesn't have time for anything like that.
All right. Well, I'm just saying.
But isn't that a good point, though?
No, it's a horrible point. Because you're justifying rape, Jesse.
How am I justifying rape?
You're saying that a woman goes wanting something, and then whatever happens to her, well, it's her fault. That's blaming the victim.
Whose fault is it then?
The perpetrator of rape is always.
They don't make the women show up at the party.
Are you serious?
And then the women dress like sluts.
All right.
Have you noticed that?
No.
So you ever seen those women going to a party, especially those kind of parties?
All right.
Dressed like sluts.
I don't know what century you're out of, but it's very sad that you think this way.
But I'm thinking realistically, there are two sides to every story, but we never really hear what the woman is doing and why is she dressed that way.
Okay, again, you don't hear it because you don't go to the trials.
But why is it not in the media?
You said earlier, well, it probably is.
We hear about the men in the media, but we never hear what the woman is doing.
That's not true.
In the good old days, when boys were boys and men were men, the mother and the father of the daughter would say, well, you had no been at that party, you little fast ass. What you doing at that party? You got what you deserve. That's what they would tell the kid, the adults.
Yeah. All right.
What do you think about that?
I think we're going to have about 2 more minutes, and I can't talk to somebody who's from the 19th century, so I think we're just about done. You're saying that women dress like sluts and ask for rape, and this is not an intelligent conversation.
I almost
feel like you're punking me, Jesse.